watching CIO Water Cooler TV. I'm Viv Parry, Performance and Growth Advisor. I'm delighted today to be joined by Alain Sanchez, who is the Senior CISO, easy for me to say, Evangelist for Fortinet. We're going to be talking today about digital transformation, but particularly focusing on cybersecurity, as people will probably guess from your title. Shall we just elaborate on the title? What is a CISO? Because I had to Google it.
Yes, it's a newcomer at the board level of companies. Only 5 years ago, this was only dealt by someone in charge of IT in general. But then there are new dimensions popping up in this environment. There are human dimensions. Okay. There are obviously a technical background to have, but there's also a need to properly understand the depth of the digital transformation that the companies are embarked in before dealing with the security.
Right.
The important thing to remember about that is, as a new joiner of the board, he's like the new pet of the teacher.
Right.
So he has or she has to establish herself or himself around and talk in a language that is not necessarily always a technical language. Hence the role to translate the security issues in terms that all the board understands.
Okay, so I think we're going to talk a little bit later about the qualities of the person in that particular role, but shall we just maybe rewind a little bit and talk about digital transformation? People are heralding it as the fourth industrial revolution. And is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Just a few thoughts from you on that.
Well, Klaus Schwab, who is the founder of Davos World Economical Forum, calls it the fourth digital industrial revolution, And this is the coming together of everything we design, everything we do in a digital format. Right. Does a lot more than making those things happening quicker than before.
Right.
It creates a new set of activities, of companies, of opportunities. And it makes this word a native digital word little by little.
So it's about the transformation element is not about layering something on top of what's already there.
Well,
but
it's the massive coming together creates absolutely new opportunities, new activities. Take Uber, for instance. They did not create the taxi, but they've created a relationship between the user, the information system, the presence of a car that has completely changed the economics of transportation.
Right.
Now, inside of these ecosystems where the boundaries between the cyber world, the physical world, and very soon the biological world are blurring, if we don't make sure all those activities are safer, then we may not cash the benefits of the digital revolution.
Okay.
Because we're making this word safer, but some other people have interest in making it less safe. So it's an endless journey across various steps. And in each of the steps, there is someone invents something bad, like a malware. People like us understand the way it works and put around these scarce resources the proper level of security. We call it cybersecurity. But we have to understand it's a journey.
And does that element happen before or does it happen after the fact? Because I think there are lots
It happens at the same time.
Right.
For instance, we create dedicated environment where on the fly, in milliseconds, we would execute a code that we believe could be malicious in a protected environment.
Right.
And the way we do that, sometimes the malware understands that we are actually checking this code. So it would kind of find ways around what we are trying to do. But we know those ways. And for instance, we would put an environment that simulates a real environment so that the code actually executes and we understand them.
Okay. So you're almost breaking it to find out how to protect it.
Exactly. And we also use the latest artificial intelligence technology to help us react in fractions of seconds.
Right.
Only a few years ago, you had about half an hour to an hour to protect yourself. Now it all happens in seconds, in milliseconds.
Yeah.
So you have to trigger the proper response, but by the same token, you have to protect the effectiveness of the global information system. You don't want to slow it down. So you always have this paradox. I'm doing things, but I don't want to slow down. Someone else is trying something else, and we understand it. So this is why we call it a journey.
Right, that's absolutely brilliant. So from what you're saying, this digital industrial revolution is a good thing so long as we're protecting the process along the way.
It's an excellent thing, providing that we would secure what happens in the new emerging world after this fourth industrial transformation.
So security is king, really, in this
and security
revolution.
is now coming as one of the very important conditions to make this connected world a safer place. I would never have thought that people in Davos would even know how to spell cybersecurity. And not only do they spell it properly now, but they're making the necessary condition for this fourth industrial revolution to emerge.
Yeah.
So it's very rare in a lifetime to find yourself at the center of a tsunami.
Yes.
Those who work in cybersecurity today are the cornerstone of this revolution.
So we're creating quite a big role here for this CISO. You're taking on a massive responsibility. So what would you say were the qualities of that person to be able to carry that weight around with them?
The first thing I would say is the CISO is a person. He's a human being. He has been recently an addition to this closed environment that we call the C-level suite.
Yeah.
So he is considered, she or he is quite well paid. An American company has said, that's it, the salary is $1 million. I've never seen anyone doing that job pay that amount of money, but it does show the importance of this emerging role. However, he is not or she is not completely well accepted sometimes or established as part of the C-level. He's not like the 500-pound gorilla that a CFO has always been. And also is called upon when there is a problem.
Right.
Now, so you need to have human qualities. You need to be able to talk about technological issues in different words than acronyms. And moreover, you need to embark all the C-suite and the N+1 and N+2 levels with you. Because no matter how great a security solution is, if people do not care about security from an intuitive perspective, you're at risk. It's amazing. We are called to look into companies and do security audits. 80% of what happens is a total lack of security culture, like writing the passwords beside your computer. You know?
All the obvious
At the same time, we're dealing with very advanced malware technologies. We still are faced with viruses that are 10 years old.
Wow.
And they're not properly tackled because people still do not have this culture and this ability to look beyond their job and to make security one part of their brain, one part of their culture. So this is about changing.
I was going to say it's a big process of change, isn't it? And changing people's ways of working and kind of them understanding what the risks attached are.
Exactly.
So is that done in a non-tech kind of language or?
Absolutely. If you are seen only as a super engineer, there's only a certain number of things you can do to secure an organization. If you're a leader, if you embark people, and if you're able to explain why security is so important. So you're not the Mr. No that says, we can't have this, it's too dangerous, or remove these IoTs, remove these cameras because there's a breach.
Yeah.
If you turn that into, here's all the good things we can do, and why we should be doing this according to this roadmap, then you become the enabler of a connected world, of this industrial transformation that we are talking about.
So I see why the human side of that is super important, because you've almost got to be a storyteller and put a positive spin on something that actually has got some negative connotations
it's
to it.
never
Isn't
been
it?
so important because at the end of the day, it's human dealing with humans. There might be a super information system in between. You could be in Los Angeles and I could be in Manchester today. We would be having the same conversation. However, it's still human dealing with human.
Thank you so much for joining us, Alain. It's been absolutely brilliant listening to you, really fascinating. And I think we've all now got a really clear understanding of how important security is in this digital transformation age, and actually how still fundamentally important human beings are.